Yo, yo, this is it. I'm Mr. Fade, and you'll listen to Attack of the Beats on IllMuzik.com. 5 beats, 5 reviews, that's what I do. And just a heads up that make sure you check out the Beat This competition coming up this week, 28th, 29th, because it's the Halloween theme. So it's once a year, of course. You got to make a beat that's like really, really scary. Like I said in the description, something that's going to make the kids run and cry to their mothers and stuff, and they don't make it because the beat's so scary. All right, so let's get into it right away. First up, we've got Armani with the quadruple. Let's check it out. All right. Okay, so that was Armani with the quadruple. So for this one, I really like this. Now, it's more of a loop, I would say, than like a full beat because it does get a bit repetitive, but still, it's good, you know. And I think that if you had something else in the background, maybe some vocal snippets or maybe some strings all the way through instead of just having it, you know, come in here and there and stuff, I think that would make a big difference. But for what you have, it's really good. The drums are on point. I like how you you have the what is a harpsichord or whatever to the right, and it just sounds really, really good and all that. But I think the bass line though, it was definitely good. It matched everything. It's just that it for me, my personal preference was I would put a filter on that. Definitely put some kind of like a low pass filter on it just to kind of muffle it a bit, because the sound of that bass, even though it's in tune and everything, it just like the sound of it to me just needs to be, you know, a little bit bassier, if you will, something like that. Anyway, but yeah, it's a nice beat. I just think that if you could add a bit more instrumentation into it, something, and yeah, that'll make a big difference, I think. But definitely some strings maybe in the background all the way through, maybe even guitar, I don't know, but definitely some strings, and try that and see how it turns out. All right, so next up we got Science with Warning Shots. Let's check it out. All right, all right, all right. Okay, so that was Science with Warning Shots. All right, so I really like the sounds you have in this, the instruments, the piano, of course, the way it drops in, and the flute's a nice addition. That was really good. And of course, when you brought in the bongos, I was like, yo, bongos, that's cool, man, because you never really hear that, So that was a nice addition. But the thing is, I couldn't, tear my ears away from the drums. Like they sound good, they're nice and clean. But the way they sound, I don't know where you got the drums from, if it's from a sample or you did them yourselves or whatever, but it just sounds like, I don't know, maybe like it sounds like it's recorded in a bathroom or something like that. It's just, I don't know, it has that sound to it, Like, to me, I think they should be dirtied up a bit, I mean, not saying like make them gritty, but just not the way they are. Like, it just sounds like they're in another room, kind of, the way, like, not in the same room as the other instruments. That's the way I see it, from like a mixing standpoint, like that's how it seems to me, and I always think back to, years ago, first time I went into a studio, and there, I went into these different booths they had, and one of them was this isolation booth, and it was like, if you're claustrophobic, don't go in there. Like, it was like super tight in there, the room. So it just kind of reminds me of that all the time. Like when I hear stuff like this, is that, it depends on the room that you're in, So in your case, maybe it's the sample you're using, whatever it's, some kind of software, wherever it's from, or maybe it's an effect you added. I don't know. Let me know in the comments. But yeah, it just doesn't sound right with the other instruments, So I would just fix that, the drums, they, like I said, the pattern's okay. Everything sounds really good. It's just the sound of those drums really threw me off, So specifically the snare, of course, So so check that out, because that really bothered me, actually. But yeah, so something to think about for all you out there listening to this is that it's important to have all the tracks sound similar, right? They all sound like they're coming from the same place. So yeah. All right, but other than that, it's a good beat though. I like it. All right, so next up we've got Fury Beats with Couldn't Realize. Let's check it out. All right. Okay, so that was Fury Beats with Couldn't Realize. So for this one, what's interesting is I know where you're going with this, right? I could tell what you're trying to do with this beat, but you're not quite there. And it's because I'm listening to it, and you got this sample, and I can hear it in the background, like the last part of the sample. It just sounds like it's off beat, and I've had that many times too, where I have a sample that, let's say it's 2 bars, and the first bar it's on beat with my drums, but then the second bar it's off slightly, and it's because I need to chop it further, chop it up into another piece, so you have like 3 or 4 pieces or whatever. So maybe that's what it is, because I can hear that last part. It's like it's on that snare from the sample sounds like it's off beat with what you have, so you need to chop it on that spot and just play that like an extra pad, like an extra hit. So that's what threw me off listening to this, right off the bat was that. But I can see where you're going with it, and I like the vocals, what you're doing with it. I love the sample, how it sounds and everything. I just think it needs to all come together, you just got to bring it all together. And there's some horns in there and everything, and the way that sounds really good. If you could find a way to isolate those a bit, you could definitely do something with that as well. As far as the vocals, when you bring them in, you have them in on their own. I think you put a bit of 808 in the background of that. But that's fine. Like, there's times where you could do that. Like, you just have your beat playing, and then when you're bringing the vocal parts, like a little break, you just have like the drums stop, and you just have your vocals, maybe some bass in the background or something. So that's fine. You don't have to have your vocals, on beat, let's say, whatever. But for the sample you're using when you're going with your drums, I just think it needs to be chopped a little more, just to kind of line it up with what you have, and then you'd be good to go. But it's good, because I'm listening to it and I'm like, okay, it's not a great beat, I would say, but it's just that I definitely hear where you're going with that, and I think all you need to do is just bring it together, man. You just got to tighten it up, and but definitely it's a nice sample, and like I said, I like what you're doing with it. It just needs to be a little tighter, so yeah, but I like it. I like where you're going with it. All right, so next up we've got Ghosty Beats with Cursed. Let's check it out. All right. Okay, so that was Ghosty Beats with Cursed. So for this one, I like how the beat sounds, where you're going with it, those keys that you have and everything, and the whole vibe of it is really good. It's on point. But of course, the big takeaway is the fact that I hear the distortion, of course, So with that kick and blended in with the bass, there's definitely a lot of distortion there and stuff. And I had something like this just the other day. I was looking for a kick, and I found something that sounded nice, but it was so. It was from a sample, and it was just distorted already, and I'm like, I'm not using this, So I went and used another kick. When I added an effect to it, it made that kick distorted. So I had to adjust my plugin that I used. It was a saturator. So if you're using something like that, like saturation or something, you got to tone it down. Okay. But the thing is that you got to do, like I was saying, like pick a kick that's not even distorted to begin with. Like that way you can at least play with you can adjust the plug-in, whereas if your kick is distorted right off the bat, well then it's going to be hard to really play with that, to adjust it. So that's my advice for that, because that's what really threw off the whole thing for me. Like, I like the vibe, I like what you're doing with it. It's just that low end, man, the kick and the bass together, it's too loud, too distorted, so just keep an eye out for that, or ear out for that, I should say. Watch your levels, but because if that was under control, if you had some sort of compression on that low end, then it would be a big difference in this beat, but for, like I said, for what you have, I like it. It's just that low end, man. You just got to fix that low end, but other than that, I like it. It's a good beat. All right, so next up we've got the last beat. It's Mr. Sin with Feels. Let's check it out. Alright. Okay, so that was Mr. Sin with Feels. So for this, the thing is, I'm not a big fan of punchy kicks, but this kick, it did sound really good with that snare. Okay, it matched up really nicely and stuff. So it was a little punchy for my liking, but still, it worked out well. It was good. Although the bass, I would bring it down just slightly in the mix, just slightly. But that could be me. It could be my headphones or whatever. But I would say just bring it down just a tad bit. And the sample that you have, it sounds really good, but it's like a typical type of sample where you have, you find something that's good, like a nice like 1 or 2 bars, and you use that. But it's just that after a few, after like, let's say a minute, it gets a little repetitive. So if you, whatever sample you have, if you could find another sample in that song that you sampled from, and make like another loop with that, so that way you can have some sort of little breakdown or some sort of hook for the beat or something. Try to do that, because it happens all the time for sampling. You want to use something that sounds good, but at the same time you don't want it to be too repetitive. You want to make sure you have like some sort of change up. And what you did towards the end, playing with the vocal snippet there, playing with it over and over, I would get rid of that. I wasn't crazy about that. But I do think, though, that if you kept what you have right now and then you added something else, like if you added, let's say, a plug-in or even a sample or whatever of let's say, a piano, just like a piano hit, just bring it in here and there and stuff, just to kind of, sweeten it up a bit and stuff. And actually, it should be more of like a Rhodes or something, if you can, manage that, to put that in with the beat you have, because it is a smooth beat. So try Rhodes. And try to bring that in just a bit here and there and stuff, just to kind of sweeten it up. Then you should be good to go. But for what you have, I like it. It's just the, like I said, the end when you're playing with the vocals, wasn't crazy about that. And the bass, just bring it down just a bit, and you should be good to go. All right, so that's it for me. I'm Mr. Fade. This is Attack of the Beats. Keep sending your beats in. I'll keep reviewing them. And my favorite beat is, the winner is, drum roll please, Armani with the Quadruple. Let's check it out.